Let us pray. O God of the ages, whose hand has led all the generations before us, we are grateful for the rich heritage of the Pennsylvania Germans and their contribution to this country. We ask your blessings upon us as we gather here to honor their legacy, to learn their culture, and to preserve their gifts. Bless our nation, that it may continue to enjoy the fruits of freedom as it seeks to ensure liberty and justice for all. Guide our leaders in the paths of righteousness and grant them wisdom for the decisions they make. Bless the Kutztown Folk Festival, that as it pays tribute to our past, it may celebrate those virtues of our ancestors that will help us shape a brighter future for our children. May we continue to honor the dedication, the craftsmanship, the ethical integrity, and the faith of our forebears, that our heritage may be secure. Bless this festival, all who have made it possible, and all who have come to learn and celebrate this unique culture. And now we pause in remembrance of those who are no longer with us, but who have given us a portion of themselves and have added to the spirit of community that this festival seeks to engender. Let us pause for a moment of silent reflection for those of this community who have died during the past year, as we commend them to God and express our gratitude for their presence upon this earth. Let us remember Clayton Lewis, John Keever, Gene Roth, Gene Theon, Christopher Moore. To God be all the glory. Amen.
I would ask you to rise if you pledge the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we'll have Julia Turk.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our Independence Day speaker, Dr. David L. Valeska. Dr. Valeska is Professor of History from Kutztown University, Emeritus Freiberger Professor of Pennsylvania German Studies. He is the founder and the first director of the Pennsylvania German Heritage Center at Kutztown University, and the president of the Pennsylvania German Heritage Center Advisory Board. He has published a book, Damn Dutch, the Pennsylvania Germans at Gettysburg, and is past president of the Pennsylvania German Society. Dr. Valeska has received the award from the Federal Republic of Germany, the Wiegenkreuz Erste Klasse, the Green Cross, first class. He is also the Burgermeister of the Kutztown Folk Festival.
Thank you, Harry. As Harry pointed out, I am indeed the Burgermeister of this festival, the mayor. And as I told my constituents, I'll be the best doggone money politicians. I'll be the best politicians money can buy. So keep that in mind. But today we have a great opportunity. We walk the grounds and we see some fantastic art and we see the material culture of the Pennsylvania Germans. And so we can see physically what they've done. But spiritually, the Pennsylvania Germans have left us with a message and with a history that is hard to duplicate. First of all, these Pennsylvania Germans were immigrants that came to our society. And they came from the Rhineland-Pfalz, as we refer to it as the Palatinate. They came to us in terms of Baden-Württemberg. They weren't fleeing religious persecution for the most part. For the most part, most Pennsylvania Germans were either Lutheran or they were Reformed, which later became a byproduct of the UCC Church. Now, the reason they came to America was for poverty in many instances. Now, there were groups like the SECT, S-E-C-T, the SECT groups, the Amish, the Mennonites, the Schwenkfelders. They fled because of religious persecution, and they did come here for their freedom and for what they have to offer. So they came into our society, and here's one of the great stories. This is a story we can't lose. They came to find a home. They came to find an economic home. They did. They found a political home. They materialized. They immigrated. They became part of the larger national scene. And so therefore, by the time we're looking at the Declaration of Independence, July the 4th, 1776, the Pennsylvania Germans had come to the conclusion that something had to happen. The majority of the Germans, and bear in mind, in the colony, or at that time it would be colony, but eventually the state of Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Germans constituted more than 40% of the total population. So we're not talking about a few people. And it's hard for us as we look at this community here to understand how large the Pennsylvania German community is until you spend time in the Pennsylvania German community, until you walk around. And I'll tell you what, you have a great opportunity here. If you just travel around from town to town to town and look at the churches, you'll see such and such Lutheran or such and such UCC, and you get a byproduct of what was going on. The churches were influential, instrumental in developing the leadership of the people here, of the Pennsylvania Germans. And so therefore, when our federal government, well, eventually our federal government, when the colonial government, the continental government decided that it's time for us to declare our independence, I have to point out to you that the first paper to make this known was the Pennsylvanische Staatsbote, which is like the Pennsylvania State Messenger. And a guy by the name of Heinrich Miller. Miller had immigrated from Saxony. He came over. He worked for Benjamin Franklin. He established a newspaper in Lancaster, in German speaking, all German speaking, because there was a need for the German society to understand what was transpiring. They were actively involved. And the paper strongly supported the American movement. They were totally opposed to the idea of being subjugated and under the control of the king. And so that when, on July the 4th, the document was signed and presented, Heinrich Miller was the first amongst them to come out. And so that it was a bitter day. It was a happy day. It was a day of great confusion. But to the men of Pennsylvania, they were ready. They were ready to stand by their flag. They were ready to support their country. their newly formed country. And so that when the first firings began, when the British began to say, okay, we're going to put down this revolution, now is the time to put this down, we see this occurring. And so that the very first men to come in Pennsylvania were the Pennsylvania German frontiersmen. They come in with their buckskin clothing and their long rifles that are known. They were there. And so that when the British attempted, for example, in Boston, riflemen from this county, Berks County, and from Adams County, and from Northampton County, they marched. As a matter of fact, not far from here, less than a mile from here, is the very location where we begin to see the camping of the Pennsylvania Germans as they marched to Boston to defend the country against British incursions. The rifle battalion out of Reading was led by one George Knob. Now, these immigrants came over and they settled, as I pointed out to you, in the various communities. Now, what did they do? While they were here, we saw, during the Revolutionary War, it's an interesting thing. The Germans spoke their own dialect. The Germans lived in their own communities. And so that we often see in this war for independence, independent German units, Pennsylvania German units, fighting for this new flag. I think one of the most famous would be the German regiment itself. The German regiment was made up exclusively of men who spoke the dialect of that ethnicity, of the Pennsylvania German ethnicity. And their numbers came from southern Pennsylvania and also into Maryland. If you followed their record, they were in most of the major engagements that took place in the Revolutionary War. I think one of the interesting things, and one of the groups we know very little about, was a group called the Maréchaussée, on here as provost. These men, Washington said, I need to have men I can trust, men who will follow me, who will keep the army in line. And he spoke to Baron von Steuben, and Steuben said, if I were you, you have these Pennsylvania Germans, I'd get them, I'd form them into a military police. And so what we see developing was the very first military police, the Maréchaussée, and what they accomplished here. And they certainly were instrumental. As the war went on, these people actually became Washington's personal bodyguard in many instances. And I think a tribute to the Pennsylvania Germans is the very fact that as the war is starting to wind down and Washington is returning to his home in Mount Vernon, the people that escorted him there for his safety were none other than the Pennsylvania, the Maréchaussée, the military police. I think it's also important for us to keep in mind that Pennsylvania Germans, after the Revolutionary War, became law-abiding citizens and began to support this nation. And it's significant to see that, one, they were also, you could follow them in the War of 1812, you could follow them in the Mexican War, but most importantly, we see the contributions that the Pennsylvania Germans made in the Civil War. All one has to do is go to Gettysburg, go to the very first day at Gettysburg, up along Hare's Ridge, up into that area, McPherson's Ridge, take a look, and what do you see? On the left flank, the 151st Pennsylvania. I ask you if you have a chance to drive through the cemeteries, and you'll see predominantly the men of the 151st Pennsylvania, many of them coming right here out of Kutztown. You saw right next to them the 147th Pennsylvania. Those people were coming out of southern Pennsylvania. Again, Pennsylvania German boys. They were went to school together. They enlisted together to fight for this country. They were dedicated to the idea. Keep in mind that this new government, this constitutional government, as Lincoln said, my God, we're never going to have anything like this. This is a government that was made of the people, by the people, and for the people. Never before. Show me at the annals of history where this has happened before. It wasn't. Therefore, the 147th was in the middle. Over on the far right, coming out of Northampton County, was the 153rd, exclusively Pennsylvania German. And they fought on this line on the first day as Harry told you, I published this book, Damn Dutch, the Pennsylvania Germans at Gettysburg. The title Damn Dutch comes from the fact that there was a split in their attitudes in the English. And remember, the Pennsylvania Dutch said anybody who didn't speak their dialect, you could have been from an Eskimo, you were English. But nevertheless, the fact was they were English. And these English did not, they tried to put any blame that fell on them onto the Pennsylvania Germans, and their attitude was, those damn Dutch. And that's where the title came out, those damn Dutch. But these damn Dutch covered themselves in glory and in honor as the first days of Gettysburg. Now we can march through history. We can march through our entire history. We can look at World War I. Out of this town were many, many, many men that volunteered, that fought in the Meuse-Argonne, that fought on the various battlefields of World War I. In World War II, I'm looking over, I see one of our veterans here from the Second World War. We had men that fought in both the European Theater of Operations and in the Pacific Theater of Operations. It was a great honor. I remember talking to some of the veterans, and they would say their language was of some benefit to them in the sense that at times they could be used as interpreters. Now, you got to bear in mind, High German and Pennsylvania German are not exactly alike. As a matter of fact, there are some great differences. For example, if I said to kannst du Deutsch schwätzen, or können Sie Deutsch sprechen, that's the same thing as can you speak German, you know? And so I think it's important. After World War II, we began to see, and our boys came home, and in the Second World War, they came back. There's great honor, but to the Pennsylvania German community, World War I and World War II had a debilitating effect because of the identification with Germany. And another thing that undermined was the very fact that the highways and the country began to expand, and newer people came into the Pennsylvania German communities. I know that I was in Vietnam, and I was a captain in the Air Force and that Bronze Star, and I look at these guys, and there are many. Go to most local Pennsylvania German churches, and all you have to do is go in, and you will see a plaque honoring those people that served their country. So, yes, today we're celebrating, there's joy, and there's bands, and I know my message is just a little somber, but I wanted it to be somber. I wanted us to think that these immigrants came to our society. They assimilated. They bought into the political system. They bought into the economic system. And they prospered. And the byproduct of this prosperity can be seen throughout the grounds here, or can be seen as you travel throughout the communities. And if you want a rough grid map of where the Pennsylvania Germans are, you start on the eastern coast of Pennsylvania, up near East Stroudsburg. You go on over to the center of the state by Harrisburg, and then you bring both lines down into a cornucopia ending in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. That was the heartland of the Pennsylvania Germans. So without belaboring the point I want to make today is we're celebrating a very poignant moment in our history. We became the freest country in the world, and we have to look at those parts, whether they were the Pennsylvania Germans, or whether they're English, or whether they were the Scotch-Irish, whether they were Italians or whoever. They made their contribution, but today we want to remember the vast contribution, the significant contribution that the Pennsylvania Germans made in developing and fighting for this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valeska, for helping us remember our heritage and the important parts of our past. Let's please rise now for a parting benediction. May the grace of God abide with us at this festival and go with us on all our journeys, helping us to preserve that which is important to our lives and to our country. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.